Alright, Shalom. I'd like to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kodesh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who are the true leaders of Israel today. And salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai, and the rest of the people are so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Zakalia, and I'm a prophet sent from Yahweh Yahushai to let you all know of the things that are coming, to let you all know of the Lord's judgments, the Lord's mercies, and the Lord's prophecies. And you have many prophecies that are to come in these last days. And these last days I'm talking about is the last days of the rulership of the so-called white man, who are the ones that are in rulership today. This is their vile, wicked kingdom, and they are the biblical Edomites, whose forefather is Esau. And they're the wicked, and this is their kingdom, man. All right, this is the blessing that was given unto them by our forefather Isaac, that they would have the fatness of the earth, the dew of heaven, and by the sword will he rule, and that he would break off the dominion from off his neck, which is the dominion that we have, which is our blessing. But right now, as the Israelites, we're suffering under the curses, which is an identification as to who we are, okay? And we are at the bottom, while, you know, the heathen are in rulership, and in this case, the wicked, the Edomites, all right? But their kingdom is a kingdom that always had an end to it. It always had an expiry date, all right? The story is written in a way that Yahweh Shemishai allows the wicked to rule at a certain point, but the wickedness will not last forever. All right, the story is written where the good guys win. All right, and in this case, the good guys are us, the Israelites, the Lord's holy chosen people. All right, so Esau's kingdom is coming to an end, and with the end of his kingdom will be the beginning and start of our kingdom. Right, we've had to live through all of these times of captivity, us the Israelites under heathen rulership, which they promote nothing but wickedness and their false ways and their false gods and their false idols, and we've suffered all of this. But with that suffering, we know that the kingdom is on its way. And as the scriptures say, in the book of 2 Esdras chapter 6 and verse 7, it said, "Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth?" So the end of the first, talking about the firstborn son, right? Esau and Jacob were born of Isaac and Rebekah, and Esau is the elder son. So it's talking about him. Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, where Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, which is symbolic, right? Because the Israelites will be usurping, to put it that way, right, the Edomites, okay, pulling them out of power and establishing ourselves, all right, starting with Yahushai, all right. When it is that Yahushai returns, who is the name of the Father's Son, right? The name of the Father is Yahweh, and his Son's name is Yahushai. When it is that Yahushai returns, right, that is going to be the moment, right, that we know that the kingdom is here, okay? Because when Yahushua returns, he's going to remove Esau out of rulership and, you know, do away with the fashion of this world. As the scriptures say, the fashion of this world passeth away. All right, so the way that this world is, everything that you see about it, man, all right, the lifestyle of it, how things are dealt with, how things are done, the way how things are built, you know, the way the music is, the art is, just everything about this world, the way how entertainment is, everything about it is going to be done away with, man. Because this world, as it is ruled by the wicked, the Edomites, all right, they have spread wickedness and they have allowed it to stand. They have perpetuated it. So the ways of this world are governed by wickedness. It's not governed by the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishai. So when Yahushua returns and establishes the kingdom, the world is going to be governed by righteousness by way of the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishai. As it says, that will be done on heaven, or Salakia, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven, which the heavens have a perfect and orderly rulership, right? By way of Yahweh Shemishai, all right? So, you know, the law, statutes, and commandments are there. That is the true way, right? The natural way of things being, all right? So it's going to be established here on earth, and the kingdom of heaven is going to be here on earth, all right? And the Israelites also are going to be in rulership, headed by Yahushai, right? And there's an order to it. You're going to have Yahushai, right, who does the will of Yahweh, okay? Then you're going to have King David, the 12 apostles, 144,000, the elect, and then the non-elect, all right? But all Israel shall enjoy the riches and the glory and the righteousness of the kingdom, all right? So this kingdom is going to be done away with. Esau's kingdom is going to be done away with, all right? So it says, and he said on 2 Ezra 6 and verse 8, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. So Esau is the end of the world, man. Talking about the end of an age. All right, it's not talking about the physical world as we know it, that we're standing on, that we're inhabiting. Talking about the end of an age, and we know that based off of the scriptures. All right. We know that based off of the scriptures, and so that's why it's very important to go into the Hebrew and the Greek, because in the New Testament you'll find the word world in, you know, used in various different cases, right? You see the word world, but when you go into the Greek, you'll see that when it was what is the word, transliterated, I believe, right, from the one language to the other, they just use the word world. And so in the New Testament, in the Greek, you'll find the word world with three different definitions. Cosmos, which is talking about the Israelites, a harmonious arrangement. You'll find the word oikomini, which is talking about the inhabited earth. And then you'll find the word aeon, which is talking about a period of time or age. And so when you go into the book of Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3, and actually I'll just get that to prove the point. All right. Precept upon precept, line upon line. Bring out the scriptures, man. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So what is the sign of thy coming? Because we know that Yahushua is going to return, right? So what are the signs that we'll be seeing before the end of the world? Now, going to my point regarding the word world here, the end of the world, right? So the word world here in the Strong's at G165, it says aeon, which is talking about a period of time or age. So when the question was posed to Yahushua, they asked, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the age, right? Which is talking about the end of the age of the rulership of the so-called white man. All right, we know that Yahushua is going to return, okay, at the end of the rulership of the heathen. All right, Daniel, right, interpreted the prophecy, the vision given unto Nebuchadnezzar, which is, you know, the vision of the statue and, you know, the situation of it all. And so now we're at the end part of it, which are the feet, the iron mixed with miry clay, right? Which is, you know, this rulership of the Edomites right now, all right? Which it has the iron in it, which goes into the Roman Empire, right? Because America is the rebirth of the Roman Empire, right? America is known as Mystery Babylon the Great in the scriptures, right? Mystery Babylon the Great, the whore that rides the beast in Revelation chapter 17. And America takes on to as well the spirit of Sodom and Egypt. All right, so America is the amalgamation of all of these, you know, previous, you know, cities, kingdoms, all right, and how it is, okay, that big mixing pot. But with that, it's, you know, going back to the main point, okay, the end of the world is talking about the end of an age. So going back to Matthew chapter 6 and verse 8, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So Esau is the end of the world, all right, the end of an age, the end of his rulership, all right, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So our kingdom is coming next, okay? And so looking at the scriptures, looking at what's going on, we can very boldly claim that we are at the end of Esau's kingdom. And how do we know that? By looking at the signs of it all, okay? And so going back to the Matthew chapter 24, because the disciples, and I'll read it again, Matthew 24 and verse 3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world, which is the end of an age? So Yahushua said, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Yahushua, and shall deceive many, right? And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right, so this is one of the signs that will be seen, all right, before the return of our Lord Yahushua, okay? The rumors of wars, nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom. As it says, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And we've been through this, man. We're in it, rather. We're literally in this period of time hearing about, you know, X country fighting against Y country, or, you know, the geopolitical tensions among these world superpowers, as they call them, and whatever else, man. But then nothing actually has really popped off in the way that they've spoken about. Those are rumors of wars, all right, where it says nation rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. But the thing about it, right, as it is all about Bible prophecy, is that yes, these are rumors of wars, and we're witnessing nation rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, okay, and there hasn't been, you know, anything to major to come from it, but that is not yet, all right, because the tensions that are happening between these world superpowers is all about the build-up of the prophecy of World War III. All right, World War III in Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, talking about World War II, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly, which is World War III. So World War III is a part of Bible prophecy. It is one of the ones, all right, that we look forward to, the war that is going to start over there in the so-called Middle East, all right, which is Western Asia, all right. So those tensions are building up, those rumors of wars are building up and adding to the prophecy of World War III, where it will eventually lead to that war known as the War of Armageddon in Revelation chapter 16 and verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, all right. So this is why we're hearing about the wars and rumors of wars, but even of that, all right, hearing about them is Bible prophecy to let us know that we are heading into the end, all right, and that we are at the end, okay. So eventually it will turn into actual war, and that is That is building up, man, day in, day out. Alright, but going back to Matthew 24 and verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? Because there are more prophecies to be fulfilled. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. So these are the things that we will be witnessing before the return of our Lord Yahushua. Yahushua also makes another comment. He says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So take note of that. All right, because we're going to be experiencing all of these things, which we are. We're in that period of time very clearly. But Yahushua mentioned this. He said that there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Now the earthquakes have been very heavy. And I've noticed as well, you have these channels, right? These channels that are dedicated to, you know, like the preppers and the survivalists and, you know, people who, you know, they keep up to date with what's going on in the world, because they, you know, they're expecting some kind of cataclysmic event to happen, which, you know, it's not how they envision it, right? But there is a cataclysmic event that is going to happen, right? For you Edomites and you heathen, but especially you Edomites, man. All right, all y'all are heathen, but y'all are the sons of the wicked, while the rest of the heathen are the sons of men. All right, so there is going to be a big event, which that event is going to be the return of Yahushua. All right, Yahushua is going to return, you know, with the fathership. You know, 2nd Ezra chapter 13 talks about it, man. That great mountain that you can't see the beginning or the end thereof. All right, and Yahushua will be returning with the angels, right, and everything, man. It's going to be a spectacular event, and that is a glorious event unto the nation of Israel overall, because, you know, that symbolizes the kingdom coming, and all Israel shall be saved, as it pertains to Romans chapter 11. But it's really going to be glorious for the elect of the nation of Israel, those who right now are of the hopeful elect, because we don't know who is who, but we know that an elect is going to be saved, a remnant to be saved, man, which is the elect of the nation of Israel, all right, which will be the ones that will be joyous in the day when Yahushua returns, all right, because that event is going to be cataclysmic, because Yahushua is going to return, take Esau out of power, you know, Satan and his angels. She's talking about Esau and his flying crafts shall fight against Yahushua foolishly. It's going to be a spectacular event, the most spectacular event that the world will have ever seen, you know, up to that point. So, you know, they really, you know, something is coming, but it is for our salvation and unto their destruction and their terror. But they build all, you know, they been talking about, been focusing more on like the earthquake, because of the frequency of the earthquakes that have been happening. And the earthquakes have been happening very frequently, but in these last days, they're happening more and more and more. And the thing about these earthquakes is that they're mentioned not only here in Matthew 24, but also in 2nd Ezra chapter 9, when the scriptures say to measure the time diligently, right? And then we'll see two signs, knowing that we are at the end, which are uppers of the people around the world, right? And which are the protests happening, and then as well as these earthquakes. So the earthquakes are mentioned twice specifically in the scriptures regarding as a sign of the end of Esau's kingdom. And even right here, you have some big earthquakes that have been hitting. All right, you have it all over the world, but you can literally search it in the latest earthquakes, right? In the past, how many hours is this? In the past day, they're saying 30 earthquakes have happened in the past day. All right, and they're of different magnitudes, and they're all over the world, man, from Russia to Hawaii to Indonesia to New Mexico, right, to Washington, Loomis, Washington, Tonga, Chile, Dominican Republic, Philippines, you know, and they vary from 5.0 to 4.9 to some are 2.5, so some are like tremors, right? And then some are like more stronger, like 5.0, 5.4. But you have the Philippines, Puerto Rico, California, Taiwan, Russia been getting hit, man. And then look at that, 144 kilometers east of Severokurilsk, Russia. The main point is that 144, man. All praises to Yahweh Shemishai, you know. But you know, they just show 30 in the past 24 hours. Oh wow, look at that, a 2-phone special. Look at that, look at the time, 10:44 as well, 1:44, you know. Those with the spirit know what I'm talking about, man. You know, it's a very blessed thing, you know, and it is by no coincidence as well. All right, but look at this. 11 hours ago, Japan earthquake, powerful 6.7 magnitude earthquake hits Japan 11 hours ago, and 4 days ago Japan got hit by a 6.8 and a 6.4 earthquake. So the Lord is bringing some serious judgment to Japan. All right, something is happening over there, but regardless, it's a sign. And then also earlier this year, Japan, which, you know, Japan has like these little offshoot islands. One of them was being hit with multitudes and multitudes and multitudes of earthquakes, like over 1,000 earthquakes in the span of a few days, right? These are signs of the end, because it's not just Japan, it's a worldwide thing. All right, so that is clear. All right, so the Matthew 24, because I'm still there, and verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, right? So when these things are happening, the multitude of earthquakes, which is a very devastating event, I mean, it's literally a catastrophic rather, devastating, life-threatening event. All right, earthquakes are nothing to be played with. You know, but earthquakes are happening so frequently that now people around the world, they hear about an earthquake, and as long as they're not affected by it personally, they don't care. They go about their daily lives, which goes to show you how desensitized the people have become to the earthquakes, which shows you the frequency of them, because when people become desensitized to something, it's because it happens so frequently. All right, and then it mentions the pestilences and the famines, which, you know, you have famine in places like, I believe, Congo, no, not Congo, Sudan, and then you have in Palestine as well, due to, you know, the situations happening there. Okay, but and then I'm sure there's, you know, probably in Ukraine, but the famine is a sign of things to be happening, and famine is the beginning of sorrow. But famine is such a very serious situation and event to happen, and great judgment. All right, and then you have the pestilences as well. So the pestilences, that's something that is, you know, all throughout this year, you know, we've been able to witness all of these different pestilences that have suddenly come about. All right, they've spoken about, you know, this year where the things that are happening are deemed unprecedented, never happened before. It's because we're at the end. All right, we will be seeing all of these different signs at the end of Esau's kingdom. Okay, and these signs that we're seeing, they're not good signs. They're signs that signal to the end of a rulership. The deterioration of society and deterioration of America, right, shows to the collapse of a kingdom. All right, because Esau's not in his glorious days anymore, where things are, you know, all great and they're really prospering. No, right now, actually, the kingdom is being translated from one people to another, and it says that Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 and verse 8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, which is how Esau established his rulership. He used his blessing, which is the sword, which is, you know, fair play. You know, this is what was given unto him. This is how he's programmed. and he uses his blessing to destroy and to conquer and to create mass genocide and to do mass murder, right? But the way that he's done it is by unrighteous dealings. All right, whenever he's gone about conquering people and destroying them, he does it by great subtlety. And like, for example, the way that he destroyed and committed mass genocide against our northern kingdom, all right, tribe of Gad, the so-called Native Americans in America, okay, and the Seminole Indians as well, all right, which is the tribe of Reuben, and how they dealt so treacherously with us, man, by lies and deception, okay? And then, with the way how otherwise they've just dealt with people. So they've dealt unrighteously. Injuries and riches got by deceit, right? Injuries and riches got by deceit, all by deception. They went about, their rulership and their dominion. All right? The kingdom is translated from one people to another. So the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So Yahweh Shemishai is letting you know that because you are vile and because you are wicked and because you do not establish righteousness, okay, that the Lord is going to take away the kingdom from you, which it was already preordained to be in this type of way, but the Lord is letting you know, all right, clearly why it is that this is going to be, all right. So at least you Edomites got a reasoning, man, because the Lord don't have to justify the Lord's self. The Lord can do whatever the Lord wants to do. It is the will of Yahweh Shemishai. Okay? And who can question it? So Esau's kingdom is being torn down. And we're heading into the beginning of sorrows, man. Okay? Now, with the beginning of sorrows comes Jacob's trouble. Right? Jacob's trouble is a time like never before upon us as a nation. As a nation, and Jacob's trouble has already started. All right. So a part of what we'll be seeing, Yahushua let us know the signs that we'll be seeing before his return. We also know that we're going to be seeing the prophecies, right? Now, some of the prophecies to come, I mentioned World War III. All right. You also have, the famine of the word prophecy, which the famine of the word means that you will no longer be able to hear this word anymore. All right, it's going to be taken away from you. All right, so get it now while you can. Okay, there's also going to be the persecution of the prophets. All right, as the scriptures say, the servant is not greater than his master. Okay, so we shall receive our persecution as well. All right. You have all kinds of things that are coming. You also have the salvation and the destruction of America, which is going to come at the end. All right, the salvation and the destruction of America happen simultaneously. But you also have the mark of the beast prophecy, which is a microchip, which is the main prophecy to keep eyes on right now. Now, the thing about it is this. All of the prophecies are building up day in, day out. You can look at all of the prophecies that are to come to pass, right? The judgments that are to come, and you can very clearly see it, all right? You can see how the famine is building up and it's brewing. You can see how the pestilences are building up and how they're brewing, right? The fact that they have mentioned all of these different pestilences that have come about, from the Ebola to the bubonic plague, right? The Henipavirus, to the bird flu, right? The quademic, okay? The Marburg eye disease. All of these different pestilences have come about and spoken about. So when it is that these things are put out there, it's in a way it shows you, right, the times that we're in. All right, when it is that you can take a look at the food supply chain and how it's, the inflation and the situation of it all, it tells us the times that we're in. All right, we know, especially the times that we're in, based off of the mark of the beast prophecy, which is the microchip. Okay, so I did mention Jacob's trouble because Jacob's trouble has started, and it is in Jacob's trouble that this microchip is going to be made mandatory worldwide. All right, right now the world is heading towards a state of chaos, and it's heading into a state of chaos because the wicked elite of Esau Edom, the ruling class of the Edomites, the Bagkid elite, are getting ready to push their new world order, which it already has started. It's already started. Just like Jacob's trouble has already started. These two things just haven't reached their apex as yet. But it's clear. It's clear what's happening. All right, and it's clear regarding the development of the system. It's clear of the systems being implemented regarding it. Now let me read Jacob's trouble first. All right, because this is upon our people, man. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 4. And these are the words that the Lord Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah, talking to the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom respectively. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. The time of Jacob's trouble, man. But Jacob's trouble has started. All right? So, it is in the midst of Jacob's trouble that this microchip, which is the mark of the beast, is going to be implemented. All right? And the way that the wicked elite are bringing in their system is that their motto is this: order out of chaos. Okay? Order ab chaos. Never let a good crisis go to waste. So they believe in creating an order out of chaos. And this is what they do. All right? The history has shown, right? The expose of the Edomites has shown that when it has come to these different wars, that they had their hand in it. Right? And every time that it comes about, the world changes in a significant way. Okay? But they intentionally bring about, and this is what they're doing right now. You have in America all kinds of situations brewing in America right now, right? Leaving the people in a very frantic state and a very emotional state with the whole EBT thing, the whole eating, the whole threatening of food security thing, right? The whole situation of it all, the pressure that our people are feeling in America regarding when Trump spoke about attacking the enemy within, and also invoking the Insurrection Act, which is all about, you know, the Israelites, but also the overall situation in America, the mass inflation, all right, the food banks being overrun, okay? You know, these are all chaotic situations that are happening to bring the people into a certain state of mind, and that state of mind is to draw them out into acting like wild animals and to be barbaric. All right, which is a spirit that Yahweh Shemisha is putting upon them, because the time of 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and the time of 2nd Ezra chapter 16 are upon us. All right. So it says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. A time like never before, man. Okay. And it is out of Jacob's trouble that we will be saved. So now it started, and it's not going to end until Yahushua returns, and we're just at the beginning stages of it. It hasn't reached its apex. All right? Based on the scriptures, we know how badly it's going to get. And since I mentioned 2nd Ezra 15 and 2nd Ezra Because you could see the mentality of the people, man, over there in America, right? When it is that, you know, their food stamps were threatened to be cut off, and they were cut off, but, you know, now we're hearing some kind of, we're hearing that Trump is going to reopen the government and stuff like that. But, you know, the thing about it is that this entire situation is such a back and forth kind of situation that the people, it's like they have no time to rest. It's like their minds aren't put at ease, all right, because they're still in the predicament. All right, now we're hearing about Section 8 and the ramifications of that, which I believe Section 8 is about the housing. So they're talking about how the Section 8 isn't being restored or something, and now a bunch of people are going to be homeless. All right, so, you know, it shows the times that we're in. All right, but the mindset of the people, 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 4. All right, no, Salakio. Well, you know what? I can read this too, because this is what is upon the world. 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 1 says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." So, just in case you have anybody out there that wants to say, "Oh, you meant this, you meant that," we're simply vessels. All right, we're simply vessels that Yahweh Shemeshai has created and has sent forth. All right, has sent forth these men who are the prophets as vessels to deliver the word of Yahweh Shemeshai. This is not by our own will. This is by the will of Yahweh Shemeshai, who then instills a will within us to be persuaded to do this work and to also believe, right? Or rather to believe and to do this work, because it is faith that Yahweh Shemeshai instills into us, which faith is a gift given unto us from Yahweh Shemeshai. So we're simply just vessels, man. All right, delivering the word. There's nothing emotional about this or personal. It is simply the word of Yahweh Shemeshai. All right, so when it is that you people want to find yourselves angry or scoffing or scorning or feeling some type of way, you know, and you direct that energy towards us, it's not about us. You're directing that energy actually towards our power, Yahweh Shemeshai, and how dare you, all right? And you're going to be destroyed, man, if you don't repent, all right? You will be destroyed, which a part of the message, man, is to repent. Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. But we do know that only the elect of the nation of Israel will repent, all right? And salvation is only for the Israelites. All right, you still have some madmen out there that are talking about that the heathen can be saved. Bringing this up once again is complete madness. All right, the scriptures say that we're going to be delivered out of the hands of our enemies. So if everybody can be saved, who are the enemies to deliver us out of the hand? Like, who are these enemies to be delivered out of, or from, rather? These people just don't read the scripture. Well, it's not even about them not reading the scriptures. It really just goes to Yahweh Shemeshai not putting the spirit upon them or taking the spirit away from them. It's as simple as that, man. All right, and so those of us that are the hopefully let that believe, we are extremely blessed to be in this kind of lot. All right, it's a blessing from Yahweh Shemeshai. Okay, so and cause them to be written in paper, for they're faithful and true. So the prophecies are all going to come to pass. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing that can stop it. All right, the Lord said in the book of Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 11, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." So the prophecies are sure to come, which means that the salvation is sure to come and the judgments are sure to come. Okay? And going back to 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 3, "Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." And this is talking to the Israelites. as only our people can have faith in Yahweh Shemishai. This message is not for the heathen. All right? The message of repentance is not for the heathen, only for the Israelites. All right? Yahweh Shemishai is only for us from the beginning, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forevermore. Only dealing with the children of Israel. Anyone who is teaching differently is teaching false doctrine, and you should run away from them. Don't listen to them. Okay? So only an Israelite can have faith, right? When it is that we're warning about the judgments and the prophecies and everything, it is a warning to our people. Now, a part of the doctrine is for us to tell the heathen, right, what their judgment is. And, you know, their role in this. So the heathen, it is simple. Firstly, Yahweh Shemishai does not care about the heathen. Yahweh Shemishai sees them as nothing and sees them as spit. They are nothing but side characters to the main characters, who are us, the Israelites. We're the main characters, they're side characters. And these side characters, they have had their role to play. You know, we've served captivity under some of them, okay? But they simply are just there as side characters. And their judgment, you heathen, your judgment is that when the kingdom of heaven is established, when Yahushua returns, you're going into slavery for 1,000 years. All right, 1,000 years of hard-working, back-breaking slavery. And then after the 1,000 years is fulfilled, the heathen, except the so-called white man, the Edomites, okay, they're going to, you know, we're going to, you know, allot them their, whatever portion of land there to be allotted, and they're going to, you know, not be slaves to us like that anymore. They're still going to give tribute, of course, but they're not going to be serving that same kind of slavery that they will be serving through that 1,000 years. All right. But regarding the nation of Edom, they will not only serve the slavery, but after the 1,000 years, the nation of Edom will be done away with. All right. So that is the message unto you, heathen man. Okay. You're going to pay for what you've done. He that leadeth into captivity shall, Revelation chapter 13 and verse 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. All right, here is the wisdom and the patience of the saints, the paraphrase. So, you know, as it is done to us, so it shall be done unto them. All right, but regarding the salvation and the warning and everything, and who is not to take the mark of the beast, which is a mic chip, this is our message unto you Israelites. All right, so 2 Corinthians 15 and verse 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Okay? So, behold, said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. So this is what is upon the world, right? And these things, the famine, sword, death, and destruction, it's all going to be happening in this lifetime, man. And it is going to be happening to this generation, right? You have people that talk about, oh, no, it's not going to happen in this lifetime, or, oh, another time. No, it's going to happen in this lifetime. All of the signs are clear. The prophets are here for the last time to prophesy the downfall of, you know, a vile wicked kingdom. All right, there's not another to come. There's not another heathen rulership to come. And how do we know this? Because we go back to the vision by Nebuchadnezzar that I read mentioned earlier, right? And so the next thing after the feet are done away with is the kingdom of heaven. And as the scriptures say, man, okay, in Daniel chapter 7 and verse 18, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever, right? Okay, so we know what is coming next. This is it, man. All right, this is Esau's kingdom. All right, and the end of it. And then the scriptures say that in the last days perilous time shall come. And let me read it. Second Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous time shall come, the last days of the rulership of the Edomites. And the thing about it is that with Jacob's trouble having started already, okay, we are in fact already in those perilous times. Okay? They're just going to become worse and worse and worse, and they're going to become so much worse that it is going to be like it's going to be evident, because the times are perilous right now. People are experiencing all kinds of things. People are starving. People are losing their jobs, their homes, their livelihood. All right, Jamaica just recently went through a Category 5 hurricane, which Jamaica hasn't recovered from it. A lot of people in Jamaica still don't have electricity. Okay, the food situation out there is dire. All right, those of us in the city, all right, aren't feeling it in the same way as those of them over in the left side of the country. But America deemed this place a disaster zone. They literally flew out, and they always do this when a place is in a certain state of being. They flew out their people, all right? And it's not just Jamaica, it's all around the world. Look at all of the tsunami, the typhoons, right? The flooding, the earthquakes, the landslides. All of these things are happening around the world, man. So very heavy judgment is going out, perilous times. All right, but these perilous times are going to become even worse, because this devil, the so-called white man, wants to establish that microchip, and he's going to do anything it takes to bring it about, and he's going to bring that chaos to the world, and it's already started. Okay, but this here says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, and proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. So this is talking about the behavior that the people of the world will have regarding the last days and the perilous times that will be coming to it. And look at the behavior of the people in this world. The behavior of the people in this world is so vile and disgusting, because the people that are in rulership are vile and disgusted, and they allow these ways to be. Esau literally establishes wickedness and tells you, look, this is the way to be. Live this type of way. This way is fine. And anything to do with living righteously, living by ways of the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishai, they don't establish that in their laws. They don't promote it. Okay? And then they tell you that you have this thing called free will, and that free will doesn't exist. We're all programmed by Yahweh Shemishai, and then they tell you to do as thou wilt. But their idea of do as thou wilt is all about fulfilling the desires and the lusts of the flesh, right? Which is to go off, which is to sin. That is what they establish in their laws, the Edomites. So the people take on to these ways, and look at how the people are. The people are completely destroyed and polluted, and they happily fulfill the lust of the flesh and the desires thereof of the flesh, because of the wicked rulership. So this is why the people are like this, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce despisers of those that are good, traitors, heedy, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, right? Having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. Okay? For of this sort are they which creep into houses, and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with divers lusts. Right? So the people are completely consumed by fulfilling the desires of the flesh. Okay? And this is a sign of the end, when it is that the people are of this type of behavior. And the scriptures say it, man. In Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and verse 9, no, Salakia, verse 19, for horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation. So horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation. So great judgment is coming, man. Great and heavy, severe judgment is coming. Horrible. All right? And these things are all going to be experienced during Jacob's trouble. Now, you have Esau, pushing forward with his New World Order agenda. You know, and the world knows about it, at least those who, you know, have eyes to see and ears to hear, right? And it's not just those who are in the truth that can see it. You know, Yahweh Shemishai has allowed people in the world to be able to see it as well, and the people sound the alarm. But the majority of the people in the world are asleep. All right, you go ahead and you tell certain people of this right now and they don't care. They don't believe it. And that's fine because they're not meant to receive it anyway. But we are in the midst of his New World Order. And his New World Order is all about establishing his microchip, which is the mark of the beast. And so his New World Order comes with the transformation of society as we know it towards what they call the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is also known as the digital age, which is also known as the intelligence age, which they are building a society that is driven by artificial intelligence, and it is being completely digitalized. And why is that? Because it's all about the microchip. Now, in order to be able to state these things and these claims, you have to understand what the microchip is and how it works. So this is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right. So the prophecy states that he causeth all. Who will be causing all? The people that are in rulership. And the people that are in rulership are the so-called white people who are the Edomites. It will be specifically their ruling class who will be doing this, who are the banking elite. All right, you know, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, those that are all, and all that are joined to them, right? They call themselves the illuminated ones and whatever else, man. Okay, because they know what's going on. All right, and what they've done to the world is that they have deceived the world. They spread lies and everything. Right, as the scriptures say in the book of Job chapter 9 and verse 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, wherein who is he? To paraphrase. So the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, who are the Edomites. They're in rulership, and a part of their deception is that they cover the faces of the judges. The judges are the Israelites, us. So they have perpetuated many different lies and deception during their rulership. Right, they've lied about who they are, and they still refuse to admit it, that they're the Edomites. All right, but the Spirit has revealed that you are the Edomites, that you're the wicked. Look at the situation. Look at them being in power, and look at how they've ruled. They've ruled as the wicked would rule. All right. So they've spread all of this deception. You know, they've lied to the world. They've told the world that they're the Lord's holy chosen people, but they're not. And what they sell to the world is that they're all about helping the world and helping the people of the world, but they're not about any of that. They're all about destroying the people. And they've destroyed the people, they've destroyed the water, they've destroyed the air, they've destroyed the animals, they've destroyed everything, because they are the son of perdition, right? The son of destruction. They are the wicked, the basis of men. All right, so now they have their New World Order agenda at hand, which is a one world government, a one world currency, a one world event, a one world this, a one world that. All right, so at the apex of that, the peak of that, is all about that microchip. So everything that they're doing is to facilitate the microchip on that global and mandatory scale. All right, so they will be causing all. So it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. Okay, so they intend to make the microchip mandatory worldwide, right? They're going to implement it to be mandatory worldwide. All right, it doesn't matter who you are, your social status, nothing. All right? In order to continue in their society, you are going to have to be microchipped. And the next precept lets us know. But it says to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. So it mentions a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And so this is the mark of the beast. Now when we go into the word mark at G5480, it says charagma, a stamp and imprinted mark. So, yeah man. So it says a stamp and imprinted mark, okay? Which the charagma is something that is physical, all right? And the microchip, it is physical. Now, the microchip itself, it is inserted into the body. In other words, it is imprinted into the body. What is it to imprint? Well, you can test it for yourself. You can take your hand and you can take your thumb and you can press it against your skin. You can press your hand against a piece of sponge, against the bed, against anything really. You can press your hand against even this right here, this metal. It will leave a sort of imprint, but it doesn't go into, right? Because it's a hard material. But this imprint is going into the flesh, right? Into the body, right? And so to make this imprint, it goes into the origin of G5482, which is the karax, which says a stake, right? It says to sharpen to a point, akin through the idea of scratching, right? Which is the next origin. But it says here from charasso, to sharpen to a point. Okay? Now, a stake, when you Google it, a stake, S-T-A-K-E, is, imagine a pencil, or a pen, or a needle. It is something that is long and sharp. It is something that's long, you know, with a pointed end to it. And so when you look at how the microchip is administered, it is administered by a device that pierces the skin, right, with a microchip inside of it, and then they press it and it inserts the microchip into the hand. All right, so the karax is the device that is used to administer the microchip. The karax pierces the flesh, and then the microchip is imprinted, right, into the skin, into the hand. Okay? Then it goes into the word grapho at G1125, which says to write with reference to the form of the letters, to delineate or form letters on a tablet, parchment, paper, or other material. So, to write with reference to the form of the letters, right, on a tablet, parchment, paper, or other material. So, in previous times, the way that information was recorded, history was recorded, or information was stored, was on tablets, parchment paper, other things. We bear witness to it, right? We know the historical accounts of tablets and the writing on it, or they'd write on the walls, right, or they'd write on the parchment paper, and then they'd write down the historical accounts and stuff like that. All right, but the modern day way of doing this, we no longer use tablets and stone, right, and all of that stuff, and even paper we have moved away from. The way that, the modern day way that this is being done now is by way, in a digital way, onto digital devices and a digital cloud, right? It is all stored digitally now. And so the microchip itself is a digital device which has all of this data and information recorded on it, right? So it says to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, write down, record. So write down, record, and how is that? Done by way digitally now. So however the digital process is of storing information onto these digital devices, that's how it is. And we literally here I have a phone, right? The phone is a digital device, and so there's a whole bunch of information that is stored on my phone from phone numbers and notes and whatever else, and it is all stored digitally onto this digital device. And then it is, if you decide to, it is stored into a digital area of a cloud database. So this is the modern day way. So the microchip, right, is broken down perfectly when looking at the charagma, which is the physical microchip, the Carax, which is the device used to administer the microchip, and then the grapho, which tells us how it operates and what is being done with it. So then, right, we can go to Google and you can Google RFID microchip, right? That is what we've known it as, all right? So brothers will refer to it as the microchip or the RFID microchip. Now the RFID microchip, you can Google it to see it. It is what it is, right? You can also Google biometric microchip, which is the same thing. Now, the RFID, right, because with the system that's coming in, there are many moving parts that are being implemented to facilitate the microchip on its global and mandatory scale, right? Remember, it's going to become mandatory worldwide. And then in the prophecy, actually, before I get what I want to read, I'm going to read it again and go into verse 17 as well. So it says, Revelation 13, verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. So it's going to become mandatory worldwide. It's going to be caused by the people that are in rulership, who are the wicked elite, who are the Edomites, basically their ruling class, the wicked elite of Esau, Edom. And the microchip itself is the mark, all right, and then they have it in the hand and the forehead. So we know about both the hand microchip and we know about the brain microchip, which is the microchip in the forehead. This microchip technology, both of them are up and running and implanted into individuals successfully. So the microchip technology is already out there, okay? And it is being used for the purposes that it's intended to be used for. But what we're waiting for is for the microchip to become mandatory worldwide. That is the prophecy, all right? But it is out there already. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you will have to have the mark of the beast, which is a microchip, in order to buy and sell, which means that you're going to be shut out from society, because one of the most basic functions of human interaction is the exchange of goods and services between one another. And so when it is that they launch the microchip, they're going to tell you that in order to be able to purchase anything, you're going to need a microchip. In order to be able to sell anything, you're going to have to be a part of the system and have a microchip. And then you can think about all of the various different things that are purchased, all of the services. All right, it's not just about food, it's about everything. You won't be able to buy clothes, you won't be able to buy essential products, you won't be able to gain access to any kind of government service, any kind of medical service, anything. All right, unless you have the microchip, you're going to be shut out from society. So this is where it's all heading towards. All right, and so with the microchip technology out there, and knowing that it's going to become mandatory worldwide, we can then as well observe the systems that are being brought in to allow the microchip to work on that mandatory global scale. Because the technology is out there. The point of sales machine already accepts microchip payments. The brain microchip is working very successfully, where people are literally microchipped in the brain, and they're using that brain microchip to communicate with external technology, where they're able to play video games using the brain microchip. All right, so the promises that have been made regarding how the brain microchip will function, it's already out there. So now we're simply just waiting for the prophecy to be fulfilled, where it is mandatory worldwide, right? Where it talks about that hour of temptation, right? This is what we're waiting for. But it's very important to understand the microchip itself and how it operates, and to act, and to believe in the prophecy as well, to then understand the next part about the system that is being brought in. Okay, so the microchip itself, at this point I prefer to type of type in biometric microchip because it's the same thing. RFID microchip, biometric microchip. Now it's RFID microchip because it works in unison with the RFID technology. So they have been for all of these years, right? They've been implementing RFID technology, radio frequency identification technology, into the various different technologies. You know, and I'm I'm broadly saying it like that because that's what it really is. All right, all of the different technologies and everything else, they have been implementing RFID technology with it. Not only RFID technology, but also NFC technology, near field communication. All right, these are parts of the system that are simply being implemented. Okay. Other parts of the system being implemented, you have what they call the Internet of Things, right? And then also there has been word about this thing called the Internet of Bodies. Right, which the Internet of Bodies is a network of devices that monitor the human body, collect personal data, health data, or alter bodily functions. Now the Internet of Bodies works alongside the microchip because it says connected devices that monitor the body. There was a guy, a so-called black man, came out onto social media. He made a video, right? And he came out on the social media and he said, you know, that he's confused, or not confused, I don't remember the words that he used, but he said he was surprised or something along the lines of that, where he said that, you know, he got the Elon Musk brain microchip, and he said that he got it not because he was a paraplegic or suffering from any, you know, like in that type of way as how they advertise it to the world right now, to be able to help people that are in really unfortunate, life-altering conditions. He said he got it because he just wanted to monitor his brain and his bodily functions, his health, and that's what it was for. But he said that very quickly and very rapidly he's noticed that the brain microchip that he has developed to new heights and new levels, which the new heights and the new levels that he's talking about is, you know, being able to communicate to external technology by way of having a brain microchip. All right, but reading this Internet of Bodies, it made me think about the microchip, because it says the Internet of Bodies is a network of internet connected devices that monitor the body. The microchip that he got, literally the brain microchip that he got it for the purpose of monitoring his body, right? To collect personal health data, that same thing, right? Or alter bodily functions. So that Internet of Bodies, which to me it reads as the transhumanism, which is all about transforming man, right? And in this case, it is all about transforming man with technology. It's about them believing, Esau Edom believing that, you know, humans can reach a new level, a next state of what they call evolution, quote unquote, right? By way of transhumanism, and what they're going to be doing is doing that by way of carnal means, which is by way of the technology, which is by way of the microchip. You see how it all ties in together once there's an understanding of what the mark of the beast is. All right, so the Internet of Bodies is considered an extension of the Internet of Things and includes wearable devices like smartwatches, internal devices such as pacemakers, and fully embedded technologies like brain-computer interfaces. So it tells you right there, fully embedded brain-computer interface, which the BCI is another name for the microchip, for the brain microchip. Okay? You see? So it's literally out there, man. The technology is out there. Now, going back to the microchip, as I said, we have to understand how it works and how it functions. Now, you can very simply Google it. There are many videos on YouTube, you know, at this point, thousands, all right, of videos by way of the apostles, the elders, the brothers, all right, doing videos on this topic. There's also videos on the topic, you know, where you can see people being microchip and stuff like that. It's out there. okay? But the biometric microchip, and so it says biometric. What is biometric? The measure of you know, right? Biometric, the biology, right? Bio, and then metric, measure. All right, so your biometrics is, you know, your face scan, your eye scan, your fingerprint scan, all of that kind of stuff. And Esau learned that no two people have the same fingerprint scan, so everybody has a unique biometric. All right, even, you know, people born as identical twins and everything, everybody has a unique individual fingerprint, right? So he knows that by measuring, so he knows that by using the biometrics to measure people, that he will know who is who exactly. All right, so that's why that part is that's a part of it. All right, because there's no replication or no scam or anything like that that can happen by way of it when you're identified by way of your biometric. So it says a biometric microchip is a tiny implantable electronic device, okay, that uses stored biometric data for identification or access. So this is the graph that it's talking about, right? Things stored and recorded, okay? So these chips contain an integrated circuit, an antenna, and memory, and can be used for various purposes such as contactless payments. So the microchip is a digital device that is used for contactless payments, right? Looking at the world, Esau has been gradually getting the world used to the idea of contactless payments, right? Firstly, by way of the credit card, right? We've all been making digital payments by way of the credit card. Now digital payments are also being done by way of the phone when they introduced Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay, right? People literally use their phone as their mode of instead of a credit card now. The phone, once again, right, is also a digital device, right, with data and information stored on it, right? The phone is another stepping stone of getting people gradually used to this way of living, because the microchip itself is an all-for-one-use device, right, with all of this data stored on it about an individual, your biometric data, your financial data, your medical information data, right, as it says, and can be used for various purposes such as contactless payments, unlocking doors, storing personal information like medical history, or acting as a digital key for transit passes and identity documents like biometric passport, right? So the microchip is going to be an all-for-one-use device for all of these things. So the phone has been a stepping stone of getting people used to this idea, this way of living, because your phone has all of these different things stored on it, right? Y'all know what it is. Y'all live this life, okay? We live this life. We know what the phone is, all right? You know, so the microchip, right? You have the contactless payments. So it also says for the microchip, it says functionality and technology, right? It has to deal with RFID technology and NFC technology, which it says most implants use RFID and NFC technology similar to that found in contactless credit cards and smartphones to communicate wirelessly with e-readers. You see, the applications for it to access and keys. So the microchip can be used to open doors and car doors and whatever else. And there's a girl in America named Chip Girl. She's on the social media. She's microchipped, and she literally shows you that in her house is built where she uses her microchip to open up the doors and cabinets and everything. Contactless payments, because, you know, the microchip is going to become, you know, the microchip already shows us that it is used as a form of payment. So it makes digital, it's a digital device that makes digital payments, okay, which speaks to the prophecy as well, right, that no man might buy or sell, right? Many implants are designed to function as a digital wallet or making payments, all right? And so now let's take a look at the world, Okay, now understanding this, because right now Esau is implementing two very important systems: the central bank digital currencies, which is the transformation of the money towards a digital payment system, and the currency towards a digital payment system, because they're getting rid of the payments and the cash, right? Because the microchip is going to be the main form of payment, and it's a digital device, so they're doing away with the cash. The microchip is going to be used. They don't need the cash anymore, and they're going to have all of the digital money stored into these digital clouds and these digital databases, and that's what it is, right? This is their fourth industrial revolution. All right, so they're implementing the central bank digital currencies literally in real time. Okay, and then they're also implementing these digital identification systems. Okay, now the digital identification system is a stepping stone heading towards the microchip. The digital identity is all about consolidating your information into one place, right? From a government point of view. Okay, because the digital ID and the central bank digital currencies, these are government launched systems, right? So they want everybody from a government point of view to, you know, be a part of this digital ID system. Now the digital ID system draws parallel to the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, and we identify its importance because of what it is doing, right? Because what the digital ID is doing with consolidating all of your information into one place and knowing how the microchip works and what its literal purpose is right now, and that it itself stores all of this data on it, and all of this data is recorded, it shows us, man, that it's that stepping stone heading towards the microchip, and that is why they're implementing it, and they're being so they're moving very forcefully and rigorously with it, because they're moving swiftly. In Revelation chapter 12 verse 12 it says, let me get it. Revelation 12 verse 12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So the devil here is talking about the so-called white man, and he knows that he has a short time. His kingdom is coming to an end. All of the signs are there. You know, he really knew that his kingdom was at its end, even though they have a spiritual pride upon them that Yahweh Shemishai puts upon them, and they believe that their houses will continue forever. They knew, a part of them knew in their spirit, that when it is that Yahweh Shemishai rose up the prophet Abba Bivens, that it was over for them. Because this is what the Lord does. The Lord always raises up his prophets to prophesy the downfall of a kingdom before the kingdom is on its way out. Right? So the kingdom been on its way out once the Lord rose up Abba Bivens, who through the spirit we know, all right, is the prophet Elijah, John the Baptist, all right, to perform the same lot as he performed before. Okay, so the scripture says in Revelation 11 and verse 11, and after these days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh Shemishai entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. So great fear fell upon them, man. All right, when it is that the prophets rose up, and the prophets rose up, and you had these men praising Yahweh Shemishai, remembering, right, as the scriptures say, that we would remember Yahweh Shemishai in the land of our captivities and praise upon the name of Yahweh Shemishai. So prophecy has been fulfilled regarding that. All right, these men woke up and simply said, we're the Lord's holy chosen people, the name of the Lord is Yahweh, and the name of his son is Yahushai. You know, great fear fell upon them. All right, so their kingdom is on its way out, man. So they're moving with great wrath. They're moving very swiftly, all right, with implementing their systems around the world. All right, that's why the other day in Vietnam, for all of the people who aren't a part of the digital ID system in Vietnam, they shut them out of the bank accounts. They're moving very quickly and very draconian as well with it, and things are going to become even more draconian, right, and more aggressive, Okay? And then in the UK, what did they say? They said that in order to work in the UK, you're going to have a digital ID in order to work in the UK. So you have to be a part of the system. And then they went even further than that, because you have people that are privileged who don't have to work. They said, well, if you don't have a digital ID, you're going to be required everywhere that you go to present your digital ID, right? Right? A stepping stone towards the microchip, because how is the microchip going to work? You're going to have to, no man shall buy or sell, right? Unless you have the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. So you have to present everywhere that you go, right? They intend you to use the microchip. You're going to have to present the microchip everywhere you go. So they're once again gradually getting the people used to this idea and this way of living. So they're saying that unless you have your digital ID in the UK, you're going to have to present your digital ID everywhere that you go. And whenever you are unable to present your digital ID, they're going to charge you a certain amount in pounds. All right? Remember the scripture, man. He calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. Everybody. They're going to trap everybody into the system. Okay? All right, so with that, mentioning all of that, right? Oh, and the digital ID, we have to take a look at it. The digital ID that has been proposed by the World Economic Forum. Now, the World Economic Forum is an organization set up by the wicked elite of Esau Edom, right? And they set up a man named Klaus Schwab, who has spoken about very blatantly the plans of the New World Order. Back in 2016, Klaus Schwab spoke about how in the next 10 years, people are going to be microchipped. The year is now 2025. 2026 will be the next year. 2026 is going to be a very big year. They're going to make a very huge digital push, right? And for all we know, the microchip may be mandatory next year as well, given how things are, all right? But this individual, he's been the face of it. If you Google now, I think he stepped down. But over the years, from that time, he has very blatantly spoken about the system that's coming in. He has spoken about the fourth industrial revolution, right? Which the fourth industrial revolution is all about the intelligence age, the digital age, right? And it's about transforming the world systems to be digitalized, right? Everything is going to be digitalized. And he said the fourth industrial revolution is not just physical, but it's also biological and all of these kinds of things. It's biological because they are going to be merging the people with the technology, the mark of the beast, the microchip. They're going to be having people implanted with the microchip. All right, so then the people, because that speaks to the biological, the transformation. All right, so that has been set up where they have blatantly stated their plans. Okay, so they have proposed the digital ID, which is not just a proposition, but it is something that is being implemented by all of the countries around the world at various different degrees. And I say it like that because if you look at certain digital IDs that have been launched, all of them won't be perfect to what is stated in the digital ID proposed by the World Economic Forum, but you can trust and best believe all of them will operate in the same way. So the digital ID by the World Economic Forum, you can just Google digital ID WEF. It shows you that the digital ID is going to connect people with things, with entities and devices. So it's going to connect all of these things together. All of these things are going to be working together, communicating with one another, right? The people are going to be merged with the microchip eventually. So they're going to merge with the technology. That kind of communication happens in whichever way. Then people are going to be going around the cities, which are going to be these smart cities and these 15-minute cities, right, which are going to be completely driven by technology and artificial intelligence, where when they go around these smart cities and these 15-minute cities, they're using the microchip to communicate every single step they go to, right? And so then the digital ID shows us what is all going to be attached to it. Your healthcare is going to be attached to your digital ID, your financial services, your bank accounts, etc. The food and sustainability is going to be attached to it. Travel and mobility, all of your tickets, your passports, all of that is going to be attached to it. Humanitarian response, access, it says literally to access services, right? Your e-commerce, so online shopping is going to be attached to this digital ID, and your online identity is going to be attached to your digital ID, which they've already spoken about as well. They want to get rid of online anonymity, right? They want stricter measures to be taken, and they see the digital ID as a solution to that. Social platforms, your social media ID is going to be attached to your digital ID. Okay, government services are going to be attached to your digital ID. Telecommunications, your phone and your SIM card, and all of it is going to be attached to your digital ID. And then it says the smart cities. The smart cities are going to be attached to the digital ID in whichever way it is and how the system works, where if you have a digital ID, maybe that digital ID maybe gives you access to certain smart cities, or however it is. Regardless, it says that these things are all going to be attached to it. So knowing that the digital ID is going to have all of these things attached to it, and knowing the prophecy of the mark of the beast, which is a microchip, and knowing how the microchip operates, we can very clearly state that the digital ID is a stepping stone heading towards the microchip, because the digital ID literally is all about, yeah man, all of your biometric information being attached to it, and then all of your other information, medical, financial, everything being attached to your digital ID. And then when it is that they make the microchip mandatory worldwide, they will simply transfer that digital ID, which would have been already set up by the government, and have the people attached to the system, where they simply just transfer that digital ID and the data stored on it onto the microchip. This is what is at hand. All right, this is what is at hand, and there's so much more. There's so much to go into to really dive into it, but this is the broad brush of it. All right, and so I have some articles from Neuralink. Neuralink's first UK patient controls computer with thoughts after implant. So the brain microchip is successful and running. It's an easy thing. They're going to surgery they're going to surgery that day, and they come out a few hours later and they're good to go. And it has spread from America to Canada to now the UK and the rest of the world. It's not just Neuralink that is developing the brain microchip. You have other competitors as well. Synchron. You have this guy named Gage Newell, some dude who works I think he's the CEO of Steam or something like that. And you have all of the Chinese companies that are developing brain microchips. And then you have the hand microchip as well. The technology is out there. So what we're waiting for is a prophecy where it's mandatory worldwide. And so that is why there's such a focus on the systems being brought in, because the microchip is out there, but the prophecy hasn't happened as yet. Why? Because the systems around the world have to be able to function with a microchip when it's made mandatory worldwide. You see? So that's what they're doing. And then you have the digital public infrastructure, which is all about, because look at Jamaica. Jamaica has launched the central bank digital currency and the digital ID, but Jamaica doesn't have a good digital public infrastructure. The digital public infrastructure is needed to be built, these 50-minute cities and these smart cities, so that the microchip can function and work around the city. You see? So, yeah. You have Europe bans cash payments ahead of mandatory digital euro launch. So the digital euro is coming, and also the European digital passport and everything, right? It's all coming. These systems tie into the mark of the beast system. This is what we're seeing being implemented. All right. So they're doing away with cash. Anything over 10,000 euros, they're banning that. They're just speaking to, because basically what they're saying, any big money transaction, it has to be done digitally. So it's only small money transactions that can be done with cash. And even with small money transactions, they have been doing things to incentivize you away from using cash money, right, for small money, and to incentivize you to use your card. Okay, and I've experienced it. I've experienced that. We're all experiencing it. So this just speaks to the times. And then as well, you have Apple. Apple introduces digital ID, a new way to create and present an ID in Apple Wallet. So Apple already has Apple Wallet, and Apple already has Apple Pay. which, you know, people attach their financial information, their bank account and whatever else onto their phone, and they make digital payments by way of their phone. They call it mobile payments. So now they have Apple Wallet, and so they're introducing an official digital ID, right? This is a very sneaky way of doing it, right? A lot of people, by the way, the two main phones are the Samsung phone and the Apple phone. So a lot of people are going to be brought onto it because of the popularity of Apple, and so you're going to have this digital ID. And so they're also saying that they want to, that with the digital ID you can also attach your passport to it. So this is all about consolidating everything into one place. All right, another avenue that they're using, you know, the digital ID is consolidating your information into one place, but then you also have the Apple digital ID, which will have your digital ID credentials on it, as well as your financial credentials merged to it, as well as your travel document credentials merged to it. You see how this devil works? He works from every single kind of angle, man. All right, so digital ID offers a secure and private way for users to create an ID in Apple Wallet using information from their US passport and present their ID with iPhone or Apple Watch. Just another step heading towards the prophecy. So with all of that being said, I'm bringing out these very few articles, which there's so much information regarding the topic that is just, you know, but what is coming is the hour of temptation. Revelation chapter 3 verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So, like I mentioned earlier, with the word world having different definitions when you go into it in the New Testament, in this case the word world here is at G3625 is the word oikoumene, which is talking about the inhabited earth. So this is talking about the hour of temptation, which is going to be when you're faced with the microchip, right? It's going to be upon the entire earth. So all spirits upon the earth are going to face it. All right, now regarding the warning and the judgment, all right, the warning is to not take the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. This is only for the nation of Israel. All right, so don't take the microchip. All right, and so the hour of temptation for the nation of Israel, okay, for us it is going to be a trial, and for those of us in of the hopefully elected will be a test of our faith, man, to see if we really believe. Right, the hour of temptation is also the hour of piercing, because when you break down the word temptation all the way down to its origin, it goes down to the Greek word paran, which talks about through the idea of piercing. Right, which is, it literally says to pierce. It is the hour of piercing because that is how the microchip is administered. It pierces the skin. You see? So everything has tied very beautifully, man, regarding, you know, the prophecy and the microchip being the mark of the beast. And so in Revelation chapter 14 verse 9 to 10, it talks about the judgment for those in America of our people that take the microchip. And in Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 8, it tells us that 1/3 of our people are going to be saved, which those are of the elect of the nation of Israel, and 2/3 are going to be destroyed, which are going to be the wicked unbelieving of our people who take the microchip. So this is all at hand, man. And so the warning is to repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, and do not take the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. All right, and we're very close, man. Our salvation is nearer than when we believe. So with that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem HaKadosh, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the 144,000 that are working diligently and fervently and fighting, you know. And shalom as well to the hopeful elect, man, the men, women, and children that believe that are also fighting. All right, Yahushua is going to return soon and the kingdom is coming. Everything that we're witnessing, be joyful. Shalom.